talking about the dance of relationship. But before that, right in this moment, I have the dance of nervousness. And so I just want to, that's what's here right now for me. And so some of this talk is about this. So I invite you all to take a deep breath with me, for me, accompany me in this process. To bring, sometimes we get, our breath is more in our chest, which is more fight or flight. And how do we get it down here? So I've been working on that this morning to let go. So thank you for breathing with me right now. Because I also know, and we'll talk about this accompaniment, is that I know I'm in a loving community that cares about me. And so, in a sense, I can relax more into myself. And something that throughout my life has been extremely important is that I really wanted to learn about relationships and connection. And how do I connect more deeply with myself? And then how do I connect in relationship? Intimate relationship, or it could be colleagues, family, friends. When I'm talking about relationship, as Claire said, it's about the gamut. Although in our most intimate relationships, that's where we can maybe see ourselves a little bit more, because it can bring out more of our stuff. And so the importance of this, I studied a lot mindfulness and psychology and conscious relationship, body-centered kinds of things, spirituality, energy work, and then became counselor and a therapist for individuals and couples to really help others work and make a difference in their life. Because I believe this, learning about relationship has really in my life, but I see in others, it really helps us learn about ourselves, define the places where we have wounds that we need more healing, to be able to increase consciousness, to heal, increase consciousness, as well as, connect. I get to connect more with my divine essence. I uncover the things that sometimes get in my way of really knowing myself and my perfection and in my divinity. And so relationships are challenging, though. I mean, does everybody feel that way? They can be a lot of joy, too, but they can be very challenging. And the reason why this is because we all have past experiences that we bring with us that in our relationships. Those past experiences can include traumas. It can be large traumas, war, violence, those kind of things. Or they can be small micro traumas, like mom or dad saying to little Johnny, when he's having some feelings, those feelings aren't real, disqualifying the person. You've probably experienced that yourself. And then, then I don't feel like my emotions are important, which they are, and we'll talk about that. So other kinds of past experience can be our experience with religion or spirituality or schools or our cultures, what's happening right now in our life. And so we bring that forward, as well as what's from our ancestry that follows it, because that affects us, our ancestry. And so all those things are in our relationships, which can make it kind of complex. And especially in the relationships that are maybe the most important or the most intimate, they can push our buttons. I don't know about you, but I get triggered, my buttons get pushed, and I do all sorts of dances when that happens. I might blame, or I might go, I wonder what this is about me that I'm so triggered. And we all have to think about, because of our past, we're not perfect, that we have to think about, am I willing to be loved by imperfect human beings? which I understand in some ways we're divine, but we also carry this past with us. So are we really allowing ourselves to be loved by imperfect human beings, that we stumble, we don't do the dance all the way we would like to sometimes. We don't have flows. Sometimes it's really chaotic. Sometimes it's very confusing. So, and am I also willing to be loved by me, even though I have my stuff that can come up, and I don't always do it the way I would most like? So, history makes a difference in our relationships, understanding more about that. And so, with awareness of those differences, then we can more easily change or grow, connect more deeply and authentically. Because unless I also know myself more, and I want to really see who I am and understand myself, it's pretty hard for then somebody else to see and understand me, or me to see and understand other people. And I don't know about you, but I really want that in my life in order to belong and connect. And I know we have so much of that here. I think that's why people are attracted here, because we really want to be inclusive of people and who they are on all different levels. So I also want to honor there's hundreds, maybe thousands of relationships that we've had in this room. So I'm honoring the wisdom we all have as learners and all that has happened in our lives. And I want you to think about, as I'm going through, I'm going to share with you 4 moves. There's lots more moves in this dance of conscious relationship. This morning I'm going to share 4. And I want you to, in the process, to think about 2 relationships right now. Just pick one of somebody you know, you just like to think of through this, as well as the other one being yourself. So we have these 2 relationships. And I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to have you do it. I'm imagining the relationship, myself and this other person. I'm going to take my godchild, and I'm going to use my hands. And we're going to play a little bit with movement about this interaction, and you're going to have your own interactions. So mine would be myself and my godchild, who I sometimes can get frustrated because she doesn't call me back. Other people have that. So just if I focus in, get into my body a little bit, what does that feel like in my body by using my hands? Just to get another understanding within myself. So maybe it's like, So that's just a little piece. But what I want you to do is focus on your relationship. I'm going to give us 30 seconds to just play with your hands. This is play. There's no right or wrong to it. Just maybe you'll get some insight. Yeah, wonderful. So maybe you got a little bit of information. That's just really brief. So the four moves that we can make that I believe are foundational to relationships, all relationships. So the first one, and I think unity really holds this well, is what is our container that holds us? This place that has safety to be ourselves, that can include different qualities. You can have different, what I call as safe containers for different relationships. So some of the what you might want to have in the container is things like, what are our mindsets? You know, do I believe that I'm a co-creator with life, where I am creating and I'm self-responsible for my experience? So that might be a mindset where I'm not blaming everybody else, but I'm doing the dance of, with compassion, but what is this about me? So the qualities of that, self-responsibility and openness, and different qualities like warmth or compassion or honesty, vulnerability. Pretty hard to connect if we are not vulnerable and authentic in our relationships. And the whole thing of, am I willing to be uncomfortable? Because it's uncomfortable to grow and learn. It's uncomfortable to look at self. And then I might have to deal with some of my judgments toward myself, which is not easy. But continually, how do I bring compassion and love to myself and others? So, and then I might need to learn some skills in a relationship. I know specifically with my husband of 30 years, we learned a lot of things in order for us to create more flow in our relationship. They might be like communication skills, or how do I make agreements, or how do I do requests, as well as how do I do requests? As well as I talk a lot about in my class, resonant language. Language that really helps other people feel seen and understood, as well as our own self. So that when something shows up, what can I do? If I have this container, especially when shit hits the fan, which it does, especially in our important relationships, what is holding us? You know, which you can have different relationships, like I have containers with friends, where we really support one another and listen and connect in that way, and different things. So, and you can change those, but the intentionality about what is my container that holds us? So like an example would be, maybe my husband and I were in a conversation, he raises his voice for some reason, and then I notice, or I could say, shut up or be quiet or something like that. But what if I then, within my container that has space for people's emotions and needs, that I then can say, Dan, I noticed when your voice got really loud, my tummy got really tight, and I'm afraid. I don't know exactly why that is, and I really have a need for, maybe could we have more calm, because something about your raised voice is activating me right now. So, you know, do we want a relationships, some of our relationships, where we can express our full self, our emotions, our needs? We can choose that, navigate that. So another one, besides the relationship container, is learning about brain science. There is so much science now about how we interact. They call it interpersonal neurobiology. And the more I've learned about it, the more helpful it is in relationship. It is how our nervous system interacts with one another. So I want you to all think about something that you really need to get done. Like fix something, maybe it's some plumbing, something in your house, or something with your taxes. Just think about that. And I want you to look around the room and pick out, or just in your mind, pick about somebody that might help you with that. Fixing something, getting it done. Who's that? Notice what it feels like in your body. And then think about something you might want some support about, some warmth, some care. Or maybe look around, who might that be? Different kind of thing. What does it feel like in your body? What's that dance like? So those are two parts of our brains, which our brain, left and right, does interact together. But it's helpful to know that the instrumental brain, which is the left brain, is the get-it-done brain. It's the brain that wants to fix and analyze and judge and compare. Get it done. The thing about the instrumental brain, which in our Western society, it's so prevalent. It's so prevalent, we kind of go to that. But that it sees others as objects to get things done. If we didn't have a right brain, which I'll talk about, it would just be, I see people as objects, I need to get things done. Or compare, judge, analyze. Whereas the right brain is the relational brain. It's the brain that has warmth, compassion, creativity. It's connected to intuition. It sees people having feelings and needs as humans. And so we have choices about, in any moment, where we're going to be in that, which I realize we need both, so I'm not making the instrumental brain wrong. It's just, if I want to be relational, I need to come from a different brain, which also is, the right brain is connected to like body and body sensations because the vagus nerve goes from our belly on up to our right brain. And so we can learn, that's where we get intuition. That's where we get also like divine insights from our right brain. So allowing ourselves to be in that brain. So we can ask ourselves in any moment, what hemisphere are we coming from in our brain and what do we want to do? Like you've probably had the experience of talking to a friend, maybe you have something come up, something like that, and you didn't say this to the friend, but you just want listening. You want somebody to sit beside you. You want relationality, but then the person goes into, oh, we can do this or fix this. Have we all had that experience? That we tend to go to the left brain, which doesn't really see people. And if we really want to see people, how do we learn to show up more in our relational brain? Which it takes both. So learning about that, and then the other aspect of the brain is that we make sense. From a brain perspective, we all make sense. So I talked about the past, that we bring the past into our relationships, and then sometimes, I've looked at people and it's like, what? Why are they doing that? That's stupid. I may have a judgment or something like that. Whoa, that's kind of strange, I could go into a lot of left brain judging. Instead, it's helped me be more compassionate toward myself and toward other people. That from the brain wants to take care of us. So however we're acting and playing out in life, it does make sense because of our past. Which doesn't mean we can't change. So our brain is neuroplastic, which means that I can rewire my brain. And so knowing that also, that whether it be my habits or things that I do that maybe I don't want to do anymore, but it makes sense for maybe my background, that I can work to change that also. Which I believe through relationship, that's the ticket to helping with that. So, and then the third move we can make is foundational move to be in self-reflection, which is inquiry. I inquire, what is this about me? Not in a blame way, but just, I want to learn about myself, to create some self-awareness. So how can I shine the light on my unconscious habits or my addictive patterns, or when I react to something, like my husband, or something big, and I say something that I don't want to say. Or I shut down, I do the shutdown dance. I've done a lot of that. Or the go away dance, where what kind of dance do we do when we're with ourselves and that we maybe get activated? With unity, and the belief system is that no matter the situation, life is here for us. So how do I really learn about myself and others through what's showing up, this mirror of life that's here, that I'm a whole person and I can learn more about myself and heal my wounds? That it all interacts together in this wound, in this, the wholeness of who we are. So there's different dances we can do when stuff comes to us. And you may recognize some of these. I think I've done all of them. Do we want to do the push-away dance? Oh, that's not happening. I don't want to pay attention to this. Or do I don't want to see this. Or I'm going to go away. Or is it the, I'm not worthy. I just low self-esteem kind of dance? Or is it, I'm going to blame, the blame dance? Everybody else is against me doing it, whatever. Or, I've done this more, am I going to blame myself? Why the hell did you do that? Or, what's going on here? What kind of dance? Or are we going to do the, I'm going to breathe and pause dance? I'm going to breathe down in my belly. Or am I going to do I'm going to be with this? I don't know why this is here, but I'm going to be with this kind of dance. Or is it then, wow, I'm just going to embrace myself in this, that this is my experience right now and this is tough, or this could be a joyful thing that I connect with myself about. So, and some ways that we can be more self-reflective is body sensations. What are my body sensations right now? Like I talked about the vagus nerve, the belly going up to the right brain. The body doesn't lie. It will connect you with what's going on. And so it's a surefire way to be more present. So lots of body sensations, and the body sensations can connect with our emotions or our needs or thoughts, which can help us understand maybe what our belief systems are. And maybe I want to change some of those belief systems once I discover what they are, because maybe they don't serve me any longer. That I have choice about that. By doing some of this, we can calm our nervous system down, from the flight and flight, where you're all scared and so, to naming an emotion and calming myself down, breathing, calming myself down. So pay attention to these things helps us regulate our nervous system. When our nervous system is more regulated, the people around us can be more regulated. So in a sense, we're doing a service to others to help regulate, which in our society right now, we have lots of stuff going on that I continually need to help relax myself. So then the fourth thing is foundational, is accompaniment, warm accompaniment. That's really about support. That's allowing ourselves to be supported. And it's when I am accompanied, when somebody sits beside me or is with me for something, then I can relax and not feel alone. James Cohen did research. He's a UCL researcher, and he's a social scientist. And he did research where he measured thousands of participants in his study. And what he did is put them in an fMRI machine, looks at your brain, pain centers, etc. And he zapped the feet to understand what's going on in the brain. And this is about social science. So what they did is there was 3 sets of times. The first time, nobody was there in the room with the person that got zapped. And he zapped the person, and they looked at how much was the pain. So it was a certain amount. And then they brought a stranger in the room, second time, and they zapped the person, and the pain went down. They said, oh, interesting. And then they brought in a person that loved and cared about the participant. They upped the zap. So they zapped them a higher voltage, and their pain center was the lowest of all of them. So, wow, that's interesting. And so, it really showed us that no matter the height of the mountain that we're climbing, which we all have mountains that we climb, that no matter the height of that, when we are accompanied, when we are cared about in warmth, compassion, somebody's with us, nothing to fix, relational, that the mountain is more doable. Whether it be, the loss of a loved one, or divorce, or some health issue, cancer, that kind of thing. So it just makes it a little bit easier. I know I've had my husband accompanying me and I had some surgery at the dermatologist this year, and my husband asked to be in the room because he knew accompaniment was so important. It was something I'd never had that I had to deal with in my life. So he was in the room when I was having the surgery, holding my hand, looking in my eyes, and it really made it a lot easier for me. And I so appreciate having that. We all need that. We also it doesn't have to be just a person that's with us. It can be we are accompanied by prayer, like we have the prayer chaplains here. It can be Source, Divine, God accompanying you. It can be a spirit guide, a mountain, a tree, a companion animal. Anything that really gives you a sense of, I'm not alone. It can even be imagining the person that maybe does give you support, they're not around, but just having them sit beside you, because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's here in the present moment or the past and what we imagine. So we can imagine that, and the brain can feel accompanied, and we get to relax. So we all have the power to change and grow and connect in our relationships. 4 things that can be helpful are, what's this container we have? What do we put in that? What's our intentionality about how we hold ourselves, other people, even the world? Or here in this organization, in this community, how we hold people, we have a container. As well as I can learn a little bit about, am I being relational or instrumental? What way do I want to be? Or it can be self-reflection and how I pay attention, and do I push away or want to go away when it gets hard and comfortable? As well as then, how do we accompany ourselves and each other? And so I encourage you all to take this information home and play with it. Play with it. Play with the dances that you have in your life. That every little shift makes any of the difference. And also that if you want to learn more, we deeper dive into a lot more of those foundational and ways that we can show up in our relationships more consciously, more connected, in a sense more connected to our soul or divine essence, and uncovering that more and more. So that's what I'm so thankful that I got to share this with you all, what an opportunity it is. And so thank you.